Hi, girlfriends. So, why keep your case out of court? It's a great question, and one that I was talking about just the other day with one of my girlfriends, and it's one that I thought I would address here. So, as most of you already know, basically there are two ways to get a divorce, and this doesn't matter whether you live in Virginia, where I practice, or whether you live literally anywhere else in the United States. Either you and your husband get together and you negotiate and sign a separation agreement that formally divides all of your assets, liabilities, and responsibilities, or you go to court. That's it. So for most people, it's going to be more beneficial to negotiate an agreement, but I'm not saying that it is a quick or an easy thing to do. For a lot of people, it is anything but. It can take months, sometimes years, and it can be really, really difficult. But why is it worth it? Why do it? Well, I think there's a lot of reasons to keep it out of the judge's hands, but basically, to summarize, the judge is going to be the person in that courtroom that knows the absolute least about your case. He's going to know less than your attorneys, less than the guardian ad litem, if there is one, and certainly less than you and your husband. And he's just really not the ideal person to be dividing everything between the two of you. For one thing, the judge is not going to do it very quickly. By the time that you get all the way to trial, it's going to have taken many, many, many months, sometimes multiple years. Most courts put in a number of procedural roadblocks in order to prevent you from getting all the way to trial and to kind of promote settlement at different points along the way, including sometimes mediation and settlement conferences, depositions, all sorts of things designed to put the power in your hands and to help you guys negotiate a settlement rather than forcing the judge to decide. So it'll take a long time. It'll also be very, very expensive, especially depending on exactly what the issues are in your case. Generally speaking, I would say that child custody and spousal support or alimony are the two wild card issues that can make a case really run off the rails and end up taking a lot of time and therefore costing a lot of money. Keeping your case out of court is generally going to save you money as well as time. And then the third reason I would say that it's really important to keep your case out of court is because the judge is not going to be able to maximize the value of the assets that you have to divide. And what I mean by that is that the judge's main concern is dividing things equitably. For the judge, this is not an emotional decision. It's not a question of deciding who was the good guy and who was the bad guy and punishing people for their behavior. He is just trying at the end of the day to get a sort of equitable arrangement in place. And by equitable, I don't necessarily mean fair, but that's a common misconception, but come up with some kind of equitable arrangement. So if we have a house in common, we're going to order it sold and the proceeds split. We're going to split a lot of things right down the middle. And that may or may not be what you want to happen. Maybe, for example, you want to, waive your equity in the home in order to get a larger portion of the retirement or spousal support for a longer time. In an agreement, you have all sorts of flexibility to come up with specific terms that are going to work for you in your specific situation. And the judge isn't really going to be able to come up with creative provisions. He doesn't have the time or the inclination to do that. He doesn't want to open himself up to allegations that he favored one side or that he used his, power to harm one party over the other. So you're going to end up with a much more cookie cutter final divorce decree than you would if you negotiated the provisions yourself. So in general, I would say a separation agreement is one that is going to give you more control over how long your divorce takes, how much it costs, and exactly how everything that you have earned, purchased, or acquired in your marriage is going to be divided.